Welcome back to another xisumasays video, and today I might be slightly on the uninformed side as there's this kind of breaking story, hashtag youtubeisover is trending, and I've just been digging into what's been going on and learning about it. It is really quite a fascinating shift in the YouTube landscape once again. Time and time again, things keep coming up and YouTube keep reacting and it keeps unsettling the community, and you think at some point there might be a breaking point, and I don't know if this would be it or not, but this is probably going to be a big deal that you'll hear people talking about over the next few days. So over on Twitter, a creator by the name of Idubbbz has been sharing screenshots that one of his videos has been removed from YouTube. It is called Content Cop Leafy. Leafy is a creator who I would personally look at as a bit of a bully online, someone who creates content around the premise of finding vulnerable people and making fun out of them. And that's based on what I saw on their channel a few years ago when they had a lot of trending and attention and traffic driven towards their channel. Now these channels often get called drama channels, and YouTube have been making changes and tweaks in the algorithms over the last few years to really try and drive attention away from these sorts of channels because they tend to stir up a lot of negative attention for YouTube. Now, this video that got removed was based on violating the community guidelines, but these are community guidelines that were just updated today as well, I believe. So this is all sort of taking place in a very short time frame. Now, there was a blog that YouTube posted, I'll probably have a link to it in the description box down below, called An Update to Our Harassment Policy, and it is all about how the harassment policy on YouTube has been expanded, yet some of the wording for this is kind of vague, and I'm not trying to accuse YouTube of doing anything in particular with this, but when you read through this long article you can see that they're opening up their interpretations to some quite loose footing, let's say. You know, these things can be interpreted in different ways, and I believe they've done this because they are trying to target a particular type of content on YouTube that's taking place, this drama content that they don't feel is right for YouTube. So let's quote a couple of parts of this. "We will no longer allow content that maliciously insults someone based on protected attributes such as their race, gender expression, or sexual orientation. This applies to everyone from private individuals to YouTube creators to public officials." Now, for the most part, that seems decent, but it is the maliciously insulting part that will probably be debated around a lot. If some particular thing happens, there will be a line people are looking for and discussing and debating, and comedy will probably be a big one here that will divide people's opinions on what exactly is a malicious insult or not. There's also this part at the end of the article that says, "Something we heard from our creators is that harassment sometimes takes the shape of a pattern of repeated behavior across multiple videos or comments, even if an individual doesn't cross our policy line." They're sort of saying, if you don't violate our policy and we see a pattern of behavior, we could then do the strike, whatever it's called, for that. That is really quite alarming because they're sort of setting themselves up to say, even if you don't cross the policy line, we have another way of getting you for whoever these changes are targeted at. And you've got to remember, this is what a policy change like this means. They're targeting a particular type of activity on YouTube that they want to remove from it. Now, a lot of things are going to come up about freedom of speech with this, and I am personally a proponent of freedom of speech, and I believe if someone says something that could air quotes offend me or is insulting to me, that they effectively have the right to say that. When that becomes harassment, when someone's shouting something in your face over and over again, there is a line there that obviously has to be discussed. And so often with these things, there are just lines that so many people have different opinions on based on all the things that they know. Now, what I point out is that YouTube is indeed a corporation, and as a company, a business, a corporation, they don't have to actually uphold freedom of speech. YouTube is a private service you are using, and they can actually do what they want. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean it's all right and you're going to feel okay about it, but that's just something to be said. Now, in a public space, freedom of speech is generally protected in democratic Western societies. There is a lot of discussion around if YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, etc. should become public utilities or treated in a way where freedom of speech would be preserved, because on each of these platforms your speech can be censored based on what those platforms deem is acceptable or not, and they all operate differently. Now, let's bring it back around to the drama. I do not like these drama channels. I've been caught up in a little bit of the air quotes drama going on YouTube in the past, and I personally find watching videos about he says, she says to just be rather draining and not very productive. I prefer to watch something that might educate me on a topic or is interesting in some way. These drama videos are not for me, so I generally have little sympathy for who's going to be targeted here, but that doesn't mean to say they're right to be targeted. Someone like Idubbbz I've watched in the past. I believe I may have even watched his content cop video on Leafy, and I would have probably back then agreed with a lot of what he said and probably thought it was a decent video. And to me, he sort of comes off as someone who observes drama and then kind of goes in with a really solid angle to try and wrap things up right, but it does play into the whole drama. So again, I think I find myself failing to try and land on a particular point to wrap up this video, but perhaps that is the point of the type of video that I make here, right? That things are always convoluted, difficult. There's so many grays, it's hard to tell where the line is. The line is in different places for many different people, and I think what we have to do is basically wait and see what the reaction is to this. How far will it extend? I can't help but feel that this probably isn't something that's going to break YouTube's back, and this hashtag #YouTubeIsOver thing is just going to be like many something is over. It's going to be here for a few days and then things are going to move on. But YouTube is just continuously aggravating its own communities and its own audience, and maybe sometimes they are being aggravated when YouTube are potentially in the right. In this case, I can't help but feel this is just a problem that is so difficult to deal with. You have this nasty type of content where people are basically being mean to one another. You do want to get rid of it, but then getting rid of it is a problem of itself, and I don't really have an answer for any of that, and it'll just be interesting to see how it plays out. I doubt it would be a tipping point for YouTube, but it's certainly another rocking of the boat, and yeah, we'll have to see what happens. Maybe I'll make another video if more information comes to light. You're probably going to hear a lot of YouTubers complaining about certain content that they have that's drama-y getting taken down. That's probably what you're going to be hearing in the next few days. Anyway, let's wrap it up there. Thanks for listening. I'll see you soon in another one. Bye bye.